Hey everyone, the name is Erik Thor, and in today's video I want to talk about creativity, because turns out most INFPs that I met don't really see themselves as being creative. Even though most textbook descriptions about INFPs talk about how INFPs are usually artists or creatively inclined in some way, most INFPs don't really feel like they are creatively inclined. Perhaps they've never touched an instrument or tried to paint. And perhaps they did, but all they did manage to do was some kind of silly doodly face, right? And so in this video, we talk about whether you are truly creative or whether you're truly an INFP or whether maybe you're not INFP enough, right? Because that's often the question that comes up. Well, I'm not creative. Am I really an INFP then? Or am I maybe some other personality type? Now, I want to zoom out a little bit because to me, all human beings are naturally creative. That's what makes us different from, for example, a machine, right? Because the truth is, well, ChatGPT can echo out things that sound nice. It can't truly come up with its own ideas. It can't truly do anything without any form of input. It simply tells us what it thinks, but it memorizes that we have already heard. And if you use ChatGPT to write articles, for example, all you know, it's going to pull off and basically rip off the content of others and use that to just echo out something that we've already heard a million times before, but in a new way, because it simply cannot be traced to a specific single source, right? All human beings have the capacity to be creative, and what we're really talking about here is whether we are the elite performers in terms of creativity or whether we're just starting out, flexing our creativity in some way or form, right? And so I want to speak out for the beginners, the people that are just starting to pick up a creative act, or the people that have just begun to draw, or the people that have just begun to write, or people that have just started out doing something silly just for fun. Because I believe that INFPs need creative expression to feel alive. I believe as an INFP, it's absolutely imperative that you find some form of creative expression, something that you can do that is truly for you, truly your own. Because if you don't, everything you do is because society told you to, right? And INFPs, they benefit from marching to the beat of their own drum, of finding their own rhythm, of learning to tune into their own voice, of learning to introspect and listen to their own feelings. And when you have feelings, when you have thoughts, when you pay attention to these things, there is a need, there is a desire to speak about these things. There's a desire to turn this into writing. There's a desire to turn this into a painting. There's a desire to make this into something. And so what I want you to think about, INFP, is what can you do to incorporate creative acts into your life wherever you are? What can I do to make and to be myself more in everything that I do? Because creativity really is being able to turn and translate something that is inside of you to something that is outside of you. And so what you have to consider is really learning to dual wield introverted feeling and extroverted thinking. It's said that INFPs live in a state of conflict where the inner world, your own feelings, your own needs, are constantly threatened by the outer world, by everything that's happening outside of you. But actually, it's by learning to integrate extroverted thinking, your opposite functions, of being able to develop your opposite personality traits and to wield them, that you're able to truly come to your own as an INFP. And so the individuated INFP is an INFP that has learned to translate everything that they're thinking, everything that they're feeling, to some form of action, to some form of job, to some form of hobby. And that's what I want to advocate for in this video. What is something that you have been thinking of doing, something that you've been considering to start up, something that you wanted to try out but haven't really dabbled with yet? Because if you're just starting out, then anything is good enough. Like many INFPs go, but what is my thing? Do I have a special purpose or a specific thing that I'm supposed to be doing? Well, maybe you do, but the way to finding it is still going out and trying it out. And so what you have to think of is just learning to play, because that's what we're exercising here, the capacity for play. And by exercising the capacity for play, what you're learning to do is listen to intrinsic motivation. So you're learning to do things just because they are fun, just for themselves, not because you want to make money from it, not because you want to get status doing it, not because somebody else told you to do it, but just because that's what you felt like doing at that specific time. So step 1, tune into your inner voice. Step 2, just go out and try something out. Sign up for a hobby or buy some paint or just go and borrow an instrument and just start out playing and see how it feels. And then Once you start doing that, it's very important to think about this aspect of perfectionism, right? Because you've never done these things before, and so you're going to suck at it. There is no INFP that is born naturally gifted at the task and just turns out to be really impressive at it from no effort, right? And so if you have this perfectionistic voice, you have to recognize what this perfectionistic voice is about, right? Why are you perfectionistic? A lot of people think they're perfectionistic because it helps them improve at something and it helps them set standards for something. But a lot of the time, perfectionism exists for a completely different reason. It's your rational mind trying to discourage you from trying out new things. It wants to demoralize you, and it wants to do so by taking away the fun of the activity itself. It wants to remind you that you don't know how to do this, that you don't have what it takes, that, yeah, you're not good enough, and nothing you do will ever be good enough. And so it wants to kill the fun of it. And so you have to recognize that this is a part of you, you know. There's a part of you that wants to stay the same, that doesn't want to grow, that doesn't want to try new things, and that wants and will do anything it can to sabotage this process. And so it will tell you that, yeah, well, it's going to be impossible. Contrary to popular belief, it's okay to just allow these thoughts. Allow yourself to say that, hey, this kind of is not good enough, and oh, there's so many better paintings than this. Oh, there's so many people that write more talented things than what I write. Oh, there's so many people that do more of these things. Allow yourself to just have these thoughts. You just let them be inside of you because, yeah, they're a part of you and they're certainly a part of your inner democracy, right? So they're allowed to voice their opinion, and that doesn't mean that you have to listen to them. That doesn't mean that you have to do what they say. It just means that, hey, they're there and these thoughts exist. And so there's a part of you that is constantly comparing yourself to other people, right? The voice of play comes from learning to shut that voice off, or at least to learn to set it aside. Because there's also a part of you that wants to just do whatever you want to do, right? So there's a voice inside of you that doesn't care for anyone else's opinion, a voice inside of you that doesn't really think about what other people think about and doesn't really compare itself to other people. And so that voice exists too. And so what you're trying to do here is you're trying to create balance here. I'm not saying stop listening to everyone forever and never care about anything ever again, right? What I'm saying is, start listening to that voice as well. Start listening to the voice of you that is just you, that does things just because you want to do these things, and not because anybody else told you to. And start listening to that inner voice of you that is completely unbothered by other people's opinions, because that's the crazy part of you. That's the individuated part of you. And have you ever noticed when you study actualized people, individuated people, that they seem absolutely unbothered with what other people think about them? That's a reason for this, and it's because they have learned to tune into their own voice. They know who they are. They know how they feel. They know what's important to them. They know how they think about things. And because they know about these things, while they can certainly listen to other people's opinions, in the end of the day, they're going to go with what they think because they are themselves and they're not that other person, and they don't have that other person's life. They don't have that other person's opinions, right? And when we think about creativity, we have to think about it in the same scope, because a lot of time when people say they're not really creative, what they're doing is they're comparing themselves with the elite performers of creativity. And why are you doing that in the first place? And why are we setting standards for this? Would you set these standards for other people too? When somebody else is starting to create, would you go tell them that, hey, actually, you're not that good at creativity. You're not really that creative. There's other people that have created much better things than what you have, right? I don't think you would. So why are you doing it to yourself? At least that's my point of view. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching, and see you all in the next video.